Going gone. We're live. This is Vance Stevens in Al Ain, UAE, 14th of June 2015, in case anybody's counting days. And we have with us two of my favorite people. There's David Winet in Oakland, I believe, and Elizabeth Ann in Grenoble. And both are here for a Learning Together session. David has been playing around with Oculus Rift, or at least being interested in it, and he's actually just written an article in the TESOL EJ on the internet called, and it's about his 2 decades of experience with study.com and how cutting edge it was. And he part of in that he has something about the future, because he used to experiment quite a lot with we were doing Active Life, we were doing Active World, Second Life, and well, anyway, so the Palace and all kinds of interesting spaces for students to learn languages in. And he had a little section at the end in which he talks about things that are happening in the future, and Oculus Rift figured in there. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And welcome, David.
Thank you, Vance. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, just fine. Mm-hmm. No echoes. Mm-hmm.
All right. So yes, for those of you who aren't familiar with Oculus Rift, it is a virtual reality headset that you put on your head, and which can put you into a sort of 3D space. The headset not only allows you to see virtual spaces or web pages or whatever, but actually allows you to move around inside them. So when you turn your head, for example, you see it's as if you were in a 3-dimensional space. And when you move, when you walk, it's as if you were walking. So this is a very immersive type of technology, which I think probably will have some educational potential. Now, at the moment, there is no commercial version of this headset. You can buy one, what they call a developer's version, basically a beta version, for about $300. So it is available. I'm afraid I don't have one, but it's definitely being talked about a lot. And I think that another thing that you've probably heard about recently is robots. Some interesting robots for personal use coming out of Japan, for example. They have robots that can read your facial expression, and they have robots that have facial expressions. Interestingly, I think they found that they don't need the mouth to show emotions. They only need the eyes. Just a side point. But I was reading about all this sort of fun stuff and thinking that one possibility would be to couple a virtual reality headset with a robot for a very realistic and actually almost real telepresence. Telepresence is the idea that you can be somewhere else. I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan, but I think they had something like that there. Of course, in a way, just watching live TV or something is a kind of telepresence, isn't it? But in this case, if we coupled a virtual reality headset with a robot in a remote place, let's suppose, for example, that you're a Chinese student learning English, you're in Beijing, or even worse, you're out in the hinterland somewhere, and you are able, by some means, to connect digitally with a robot that's, say, in Times Square, New York City, and this robot is able to see and also has a microphone so you can speak and it can move around. You could potentially, using your virtual headset, take a walk around Times Square, talk to people in Times Square, listen to what they have to say, and communicate in various ways, even though you're in Xinjiang or someplace that's thousands of miles from Times Square. And obviously the advantage here for language learning, which is what I do, and perhaps most of you do.
That would be an idea for your next language school, David. You could get a robot and walk it around your neighborhood or somewhere nearby that's very interesting, and get students to connect from various parts of the world and join you on the journey. Would that be possible?
Absolutely. It would be very possible. And indeed, you wouldn't even really need a robot if you're taking students on a tour yourself, if you're around your hometown. You could just go out with your tablet and do something like that. And there are people doing that. I've heard there are guided tours and so on, people using their tablet to visit exotic places. The nice thing about the robot idea is that you wouldn't need anyone on the other end, so that you could pursue your learning, and by that I mean not only language but also culture, independently. The only problem being that somebody might steal your robot while it's walking around. So I'm not sure about that. That may be an issue.
Disgruntled language teacher who's realizing that robots are replacing him in the classroom or her.
Oh dear, yeah, that is a problem for sure. Yeah. It's an intriguing idea at any rate. I don't know. Any questions at this point?
You know, by the way, you had that Google Doc. Did you ever manage to share it? Because we could put its link in in one of the chat areas. Anybody could click on it who's watching.
I can, yes. Set it up here to share. Got it open here, and I could show you on the screen.
Yeah, if you can go to chat wing, then the viewers. Let's see. Anne is there. Elizabeth Ann, sorry, and but there are two viewers. We've picked up two viewers who are watching us on the stream.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think I'll just show it on the screen here because I'm not seeing the share button just now. Not sure what happened.
But, you know, I could. Okay. Well, anyway.
I can screen share it. Would that help?
Okay. Well, it might, except that people couldn't click on the links. So maybe if you talk about some of the links, or if you're showing us a video, you can just paste the links in the chat link.
I don't have a public link for it, and I'm not seeing the share button when I open the document at the moment. I don't know why. Can you still hear me?
I've got it open on my computer as well. I don't know if that's going to help us. I'm not sure there's no share button there. I was going to ask you how you do that. You seem to have shared it in a very restrictive way. Because when I click on the share button, it let's see what I get.
You want to share, it gives you the option. If you look at advanced, I think it gives you the option to share publicly. Click on the advanced button after you open sharing.
You must ask the owner to invite the people below.
Sure. I don't know why I'm not having a share button here.
Anyway, okay. You know what I could do is maybe I could just copy all this. I'll copy it while you're talking. I'll copy it and paste it into another window, another place where we can share. Shall I do that?
Do.
Yeah, I mean the robot walking around Times Square, I can't see any sort of advantage over a person with a webcam walking around Times Square. I mean, the robot couldn't be alone, could it? Because, as you said, someone is going to pick it up and take it home with them.
Can you still hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
I think the robot could be alone. I imagine something where these robots would be so plentiful that they'd just be, nobody would want to take them necessarily. Or they could have various theft prevention devices attached to them. So, in fact, if that is possible, then you don't need two people. You don't need someone on the site to accompany the robot, and which would be nice for independent learning, basically. This is all pure speculation, of course. I'm not sure it could happen, but I'm thinking of like zip cars. Are you familiar with that? Do you have that in where you are? These cars are just on the street, and you can just grab them and drive them around, and when you're finished, you take them back to a zip car place, and that's it. And so I'm thinking you might be, or like in Paris, I remember when I was there, you could rent a bicycle and just drive it. So I'm thinking something like that eventually. Obviously, this isn't going to happen anytime really soon.
What is happening in language learning? I know schools are, you see pictures of blog posts, videos of students in using Oculus Rift. Usually, it's kind of in like rows of computers, oddly, but they're all interacting. They're all waving their arms, and they've got the goggles on. And what are they doing exactly?
Actually, I'm not sure, but I do have a video which I'd like to. I actually have several videos, and I thought we could watch some of them, time permitting, because they show it much more vividly than I can explain it. Would that be okay?
Yeah, we're going to try to put these, use the YouTube app and see if they'll come out in the recording.
Right. I tried to activate the YouTube app, and I gave it all the permission and everything, then it just sort of disappeared and didn't take me to YouTube. So maybe you can activate an app for me. Activate YouTube for me.
Okay. I just made in the chat wing. I'm just going to put. I'm only so good at juggling. So let me just get the URL in the chat wing while it's in my buffer, and then we'll come back to that. If it will load here, frustrating. Okay, here we go. This is. These are the links. I just created a new document, and I'm putting in the chat wing the links for the benefit of any users. So if you want to open that shareable link, those are the. Actually, Dave, are you looking at the chat wing at all, or could you guide me to one of the videos you want to show? Because I've got that document.
Let's try the first one.
Okay. So the first one says watch, make use of Tango or something like that. So it's
this is actually, I might be able to do this because it's not a video.
Okay, switch on my article and see what happens. Add videos to playlist. Okay. I'm going to close my text chat so I get some more space here. Add videos to playlist. Okay. There's a video URL. All right. I'm searching for it. Sorry, there were no results. Maybe it needs to be a YouTube video. This is, by the way, it's www. Oh, it's the link is to a website that might have a video in it. So let me see if I
Right.
can dig it out that way. Okay, so. All right, I'm opening that website. Okay, it's make use of and video, I guess, is waiting for things to load in here. At the moment, you could be teasing out some videos yourself. Is it the new cardboard headset? Is that what we're looking at?
This is one of the. This is Google's contribution at the moment to virtual reality headsets. Specifically, I hope you are seeing in the sharing window. I've scrolled down to where they talk about the Tango tablet. Do you see that?
Ah, the Tango tablet. Okay.
Yeah.
Tango virtual reality. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. I need to click on the YouTube to get its URL. Okay.
The weird virtual reality.
Trying to get the share link. Clicking several times on the share link. Here we go. I've got it. Copying that into now into the place where we're going to search for something and add it to the playlist. And got it. There's a plus next to it. Add this video to the playlist. Okay. Now, how do we play our playlist? Okay. Oh, I see. Here we go. There's a play.
I think I've lost the audio for you, Vance.
Okay.
Now,
I just
now I
paused
hear
it.
you. I hear you.
Could you hear that, Elizabeth? And
Yes. I can hear the video and you
Okay.
speaking.
I've actually seen this one before. Now, this guy is looking through his headset, I think, and these other people who are wandering in, who are they? Because people will appear and he seems to scare them off. Where are they coming from?
I haven't seen anyone else. It says your mic is muted during playback.
Let's see. Did I? But can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I hear you.
Okay. Yeah. I've paused the playback. It's I've seen the video before because I've been looking at what David has. He had this one in the article, and I couldn't really understand how people are wandering into his view in this virtual world. Where are they coming from? Because they're going to appear in a minute.
Okay, let's see.
He can't seem to get them to stick. David, would you know where those people are coming from? I mean, how do you connect in this?
Get them to stick.
Well, okay. As we watch it, the people will come in and he tries to contact them, but they disappear. We'll watch it and see. But I just didn't know how. I didn't understand how he was.
Which video did you start? Because I'm not seeing any video at all.
Janus VR Oculus Rift DK2 Let's Play. Well, let me play the video. Are we having let me put into the chat wing the URL so that you'll know what I'm watching. Okay, here's chat. Are you in the chat wing, David?
No, I'm not. Can you text? It's okay. I see it. Chatwing.com, Ben Steven. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this is okay. So I'll go ahead and play this, and then we'll make our comments later.
I can see it. Okay.
Okay, so now I have. Can you hear me now?
I hear you.
Yes, I hear you.
But you weren't able to see. I wasn't sharing the video.
No, I brought it up on my screen, and when you press play, it works for me as well. Just a second. I'm going to press play. Then when I stop it. Okay, I'm going to stop it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's what I'm not really understanding is how did he get into this virtual world and who are the other people in it? They could be other students in the class and
well, he didn't know
what?
who they were. He didn't know who they were, so he seems to be on some sort of demo where they turn up.
Yeah,
maybe we could get David onto the video at the same time. David, can you see the YouTube at the bottom of the left-hand side of the controls?
No, I don't see any YouTube
Can you
whatsoever.
If you don't see YouTube, go to the 3 dots at the very bottom of the console and click there, and YouTube should be one of the choices. And then you just have to activate it. In fact, when I click on YouTube, I've got Vance and Elizabeth. It tells me who's watching my YouTube video. And hopefully it's coming out in the recording. I don't know. You know, it might not be coming out in the recording. Okay.
Okay, I know which video you're on now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
okay,
we're all on the same video at the same time.
This is a space similar to Second Life, for example, and there are various people represented by those blocky characters who are also in the same virtual space. And he's just walking around, and they're just walking around and exploring, so they may or may not want to talk to him at that particular moment. So they may disappear. And there are various different rooms that you can go to. It's a lot like Second Life. The main difference being that you've got this headset, so you're more immersed than if you were just watching your computer screen. I think that's the and you don't need to use a mouse to move around, turn your head, and so on. You do everything by natural physical movements.
Okay.
So that's that's a kind of a step towards a more realistic or real world type of experience. The other people could be, hypothetically, could be teachers, could be other students, could be just other people in the same space, or could even be artificial intelligence people who could, or objects, whatever, who could talk to you and have a teaching function. So the possibilities are significant, I think. It's sort of like Second Life on steroids, and this is virtual reality. It's not augmented reality. So this is a little different from the robot idea. Hypothetically, could be teachers, could be other students.
We've got Vanessa has just joined us, and I think we might have to mute you for a moment, Vanessa, because you brought us an echo. But that's okay. I just muted you, and it's fine when you sort out the headset thing or whatever's causing the echo. You can unmute yourself. You're quite welcome to talk to us. And it's always nice to see Vanessa from New Mexico.
Vanessa. Yeah, I'd say hi, Vanessa. Well, what I've understood so far is that this is like Second Life, but with everything moving because of the headset rather than on the computer screen. Is that a reasonable summary of
Yes.
so far?
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Can you recommend a video that we could play that would show us students engaged in this activity? And I think there's some where the doing with the students. So
yeah, if you look on that list of URLs, there's one that mentions a biology class. I think it is. Hang on. It's the second link there. And this is a biology lesson using Oculus Rift. So it's not an ESL lesson, but, you know, learning is learning. So I think it'll give us an idea. Do you see it?
Demo
Maybe you
of
could launch that.
Demo of Oculus for education?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
The problem is it's not a YouTube again. We'll see. It's a
the
class
link isn't. Okay.
Oh yes,
yeah,
we've got the.
I'm at this. I'm at the site. Have you got it, Elizabeth? Maybe you could.
Yeah, I've got the YouTube. I'll try and put it in and see what happens.
The World of Comenius pilot, first class in virtual reality at MGOK. Yeah, go ahead. Play it for us, Elizabeth.
Add to playlist. I'm wondering if we all have to put it on. I don't know. I'll put it on the playlist here.
No. I think one person does it. I'll go ahead and bring it up. I'll get it.
There it is. Okay. It's on the playlist, but I can't set it going. It's on my playlist. I can see it. Last 2 minutes and 37 seconds.
Okay, I've got its link now, so I can try and do that. So first of all, let's see. Okay, so how can I? Somehow okay. I'm unable to scroll in the window. There we go. I got it. Okay, so I'm going to add this RBARQ. So that's going on the playlist.
Yeah.
World of Comenius has a big red X by it. I'm not sure why it's there, but maybe search results. It's found it. But there's not an add button.
Oh, I think no. But when you go back, then you've got your list of videos.
Okay. I see. Okay.
Now
which one was the World of Comenius? The World of Comenius. Yeah. Now playing. That's the one. We don't want that one. So that's the one that we just. I just press the X there.
Got it.
There's the Verge.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'd already put that on. So can we get rid of that as well?
Okay.
How did you get rid of it?
Oh, there's an X in the playlist. Now then.
Okay.
Okay. There's.
Yeah, got it. What do we have?
Okay.
Yeah. You need a hell of a lot of technicians in that classroom.
Yeah.
Keep everything running.
So that's more up your line, Elizabeth.
No, no, no,
That's
no.
you teach in a science college.
Yes,
That's what I
indeed.
was.
But from the video, we couldn't see in any way what the students were getting from it. Other than that they were seeing in 3 dimensions because they were all moving their arms around trying to catch things in the air.
Well, they were able to manipulate those images. They were able to move the bones around and so on, so that it was a hands-on type of thing.
Okay, that's what the hands were doing. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was fixated on the hands.
they're actually it's sort of a combination of the real world physical movement and virtual objects. So you can move virtual objects with your real hand, and that's the beauty of it. Now, you know, for English purposes, obviously, it wouldn't be so much moving things around, although you could use that for, you know, giving orders and so on. Or drawing pictures, but you can also superimpose all kinds of text and so on onto these images, so that if the person performed the right task, then they would be perhaps rewarded by seeing the name of the thing that they'd done. Like, say, pick up the apple and so on, and if they pick it up, then they get some sort of reward, and they see, you know, they've proven that they know what an apple is. Of course, that's simplistic, but it could be much more complicated than that for higher levels. Yeah.
This is interesting because, you know, Robert Walkman often joins us, and he was involved with the software where you could, say, be doing something like you're repairing a car, and you ask someone, can you give me a hammer? And the person, the language learner, would click on the hammer and drag it into the screen, and the hammer would actually come in the video. You know, I suppose they had other objects there. You know, no, not a toothbrush. You know, a hammer. So you know, objects are moving in and out of the screen according to what students are saying. I guess that's one kind of manipulation you could do. But I think we started out this conversation talking not about so much as manipulating things and putting text on them, but interacting with people. So how do you see the interaction with people with a robot that's walking around? How would the student be in Japan or China interacting with a robot that you're that you have in the shopping mall? Maybe you're watching, make sure no one steals it. So the robot's walking around, the student is directing the robot. What would the student be seeing, and how would the student be interfacing with that world?
Well, if you're in a shopping mall, you could have your robot go into shops and ask questions about products and so on. You could compare prices and so on, or ask for demonstrations of products from sellers. You could also just stop people shopping there and saying, "Hi, I'm in Japan and you're in New York, and what's the weather like today?" Depending on what the teacher assigned, for example, you to do. You could, but the possibilities, I think, are limitless, since you've got this robot that theoretically could go anywhere. By the way, you could also use a drone. You're not limited to earthbound robots. If you had a drone with the necessary equipment for sending the signal back, you could learn that way. In any event, let's say you could have your robot go to a lecture, for example, we're theoretically in New York City. The robot's in New York City, or a museum, and actually go into the museum. And that brings me to the other type of innovation, which I think you're familiar with, which is called augmented reality. Apparently there's quite a hot contention between the virtual reality people and the augmented reality people in Silicon Valley. I was just reading about it. But augmented reality is basically adding a layer of digital information on top of normal reality, so that you could go into a museum with your robot and you would see the pictures, but meanwhile the augmented reality program would tell you about that picture, for example. And that's we're getting pretty close to that in a way with just smartphones. I heard Google has come out with something called Google Now on Tap. And with the next version of Android, you'll be able to press the home button when you're on any particular page. For example, suppose you're looking at an image, you press the home button and Google recognizes what that image is and starts telling you about it. So this isn't even science fiction. This is actually really close. And that's called augmented reality. I'm sure some of you are already very familiar with that. But that's how I view the robot being even better than the virtual reality type of thing that we saw in the video, the first video we looked at. But the virtual reality is also very useful because you can set up certain situations without, relying on the real world being cooperative. For example, you wanted to teach the students how to buy and sell things in a shop. You could set up a virtual reality shop and have interactions with either artificial intelligence characters or other students or with the teacher, but within that virtual situation. So they're both very, very useful, I think, ideas for learning. The robot thing is better for culture, though. Obviously, I think if you can actually visit other countries. I think we neglect culture as English teachers and focus on language, which I mean makes sense, but sometimes it's really hard, even if you speak the language, to understand what's going on because you're lacking the cultural dimension. And I think these robots would really allow people to really get to know other cultures much more in depth. So if there are no questions, I thought maybe we could watch another one of these videos.
Yeah, I was going to make. My mic was muted. I was being polite, so my mouth was moving. No sound was coming out. I was just thinking of what Mike Marzio does in. I think he might have moved back to the States now, but he was doing it in the French Riviera for some time. Well, going around to different places where he happens to be, carrying cameras and talking with people who, he just meets on the street. So, we're sort of, my mind is going to Second Life, where you have a virtual space, and you can set up easily a virtual shop. You can make holodecks, and you can change your shops and things like that. You can change your environment. So that's a space where you can actually we'll take what language lab. There's a company that has a school in Second Life, and they've set up, say, a coffee shop, and you go into the coffee shop, and they actually have actors there in the coffee shop as avatars, and so the actors engage the people who come into the shop. And so people can go and practice their language that way. So then you have that kind of space, and then you have what Mike Marzio does when he goes into a real world and carries a camera. He could just as well be a robot, I suppose, except people will talk to a person with a camera. I guess the problem would be you'd have to have your robot engaging people. Hey, I'm from China. Come talk to me. You know, really, no, really, I want to know about this product. I want to compare the price. You know, it is. But anyhow, you know, if you actually could make it work because you make it famous, it becomes viral, you know, or whatever, then there's some interesting ideas.
There's talking about augmented reality. There is something available. I'm not quite sure how it works, but this guy Paul Driver, I put it in the chat. He did this thing with his students, and you have the same augmented reality signs. Well, no, I'm not sure if it works. Maybe it's just QR codes. But I believe it might work with the augmented reality with a specific program, and they get the students to go and put information about the town. Do you see what I mean? When you, the augmented reality app, when you see something, you get an explanation about it. Well, with this program, when you see the thing in the same way, the explanations are made by the students.
That's great.
It's really fabulous. He spoke about it at the IATF.
I've seen him talk about that, the Urban Chronicles.
Yeah.
Putting that link in the chat wing chat. Another nice, when you put things in the Hangout chat, they can't even be copy-pasted. So what I'll often do is I'll go through and click on the links and then put the links in the show notes from the chat. But if we put them in chat wing, they're there for eternity, as far as we know eternity, since we started using chat wing. I don't know what So at the moment, it looks like we may not have any viewers. We have no viewers. We've lost all our viewers, but we do have people here in the Hangout. And Elizabeth, Vanessa, if you have any comments, you're welcome to put any comments you have. Welcome to join us in conversation. Okay, so you wanted to watch another video, David? Maybe we could be bringing that one up. What do you recommend?
Well, actually, since we're moving along, I think we've covered most of the ideas I had about that, but I did want to mention a couple of other intriguing ideas. If you can, you guys, oh, you guys can't see this, but there are two other things besides visual that are interesting. One is, believe it or not, remote smell, and the other is actually three other things. There's remote audio. Let's take a look at that because that's such an interesting video. It's the second from the bottom, Vance.
Okay.
It's called binaural audio, and it creates audio as if you were in the place that you're seeing. You'll see how it works. It's relatively simple technology, but it's very effective, and it's really worth looking at, I think.
I can see remote smell is E. Remote touch? No. Which one is this?
No, scroll up. Scroll up to where those links are, all the way up.
And for Vanessa, for your bookmarks, we put this link in the chat wing. I'll put the link to the shared document that we're all going from. Binaural audio, that's the one, and it's actually a YouTube link, so maybe that will go right into the. We'll put its link here in the. This is the link we're going to go to right there, and I'll put that into the playlist. I have to reactivate YouTube. I took the app away. Okay, now YouTube and Hangouts. Okay, I gotta put OK. Now I'm gonna add videos to the playlist. They could have a smoother process, you know. Now it's searching for it.
There it is.
It's found it. and I go back to now I got to kill the text chat because the text chat is covering up my playlist.
Yep.
Here, New York City in 3D audio. Is that it?
Yes.
So the biggest news of Google I/O 2015. That says it's now playing. Okay, I'll kill that one. And here we go. All right.
Yes, there we go.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Am I back again?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It repeated at my end, but the
Mine
links
too.
are there. Yeah. Okay. So obviously a little bit flaky interface in Google, but anyway, we've got anybody can play that. So we got some idea of what binaural audio is, something that sounds really cool, and it was really good for listening to Radiohead. So anyway, okay, David, tell us about this. How does this pique your fancy?
All right. Well, look. Here's my basic premise that we as human animals are set up to learn speech, and it's optimized for children, listening to their parents, babies, and so on. That's where we really learn. So the theory would be that to the extent we can duplicate that same environment with sound that sounds like real sound coming through both ears, and visuals that look like we're really in the space, and two other things, smells that smell like real space, and touch that feels like real space, where we can both touch and be touched. It's called haptics. We're going to recreate a kind of virtual reality that comes a lot closer to reality than the virtual reality we're familiar with, such as video games, which are primarily visual. And so I believe as a precondition for learning, it's convincing the brain that, hey, this is reality, and therefore, brain, you better open up and digest what's going on. I think that would be the advantage. Mind you, it's just a theory. I have no proof whatsoever for that, but it seems logical anyway. to me. And of course, there's the cool factor. So, which has nothing to do with anything. And so that's basically it. So if you are able to take your tour of New York City with your robot and your virtual headset and your binary oral hearing and ideally smell the smells, although some of the New York smells, obviously, you might not want to smell, and touch people or have them touch you, put your, or feel the, even ideally feel the, the cold or the whatever. That's, of course, that's extreme, but I think this would be a very immersive experience and one that would be conducive to that type of learning, immersive learning. That's pretty much it.
Are you familiar with a segment of our population that likes to watch other people eat on YouTube?
I'm not that kinky.
Well, yeah, it is kind of kinky in a way, but I was introduced to this by Jeff LeBeau's Korean students when he gets them into Hangout, and it turns out that there's a subculture on YouTube where some petite little Oriental girl will go into a buffet and just load her plate up and just start eating. And so you mentioned that taste was one of the haptic aspects you can have. So you have smell, you have taste, touch the food. I mean, that would go over really well with that kind of thing, But that's part of a language lesson in Jeff LeBeau's world of Hangouts with Korean students. And, sure, why not? You could augment that reality.
Actually, I hadn't thought of taste, but yeah, if you can digitize taste, then I'm all for it.
I mean, if you could do smell, you should be able to do taste. I mean, it's
right.
sort of the same sense, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
unless you put it in your mouth, but you're absolutely right. I mean, it's the five senses really. So you've got five senses plus augmented reality helping you, informing what you're seeing, tasting, smelling, touching, and so on. I mean, it's pretty.
Yeah, well, knowing where you're coming from, all the things that we've been experimenting with over the years, mostly at your behest, all the different websites you put people onto for language learning purposes, which, well, obviously weren't really language learning sites, but of course they all, they all relate. They're really interesting for language learners. So, and when we export our article, we just David wrote an article for Tessel EJ, but I mean, I got very wrapped up in this, and we also got Michael Coughlin and some other teachers for English for Internet over the years who came in and contributed to the article, but people are, gosh, I've sort of lost my thread there. So why did I start talking about that? I think I would say knowing where you're coming from, that you describe it in that article. I'll make sure the article gets into the show notes. I think it was anyway. It's in the description of this event. So, but you can see where David is always thinking about the latest toy that can then get stuck into language class somehow. Which. But I know what I was thinking is that the people who are going to these language classes, as we found out ourselves, were not really going there for a language lesson. They were going there to interact with other people. That's the thing that, that's why a site where people go and watch someone eat could be a really interesting language learning experience, because people will interact around that event and create language, talk about it, be interested in it. No telling. They might even say put on some Google Flash. Flash, have that right here. Walk into a restaurant, start eating, and talk about that. There's another story behind the class, but I've been trying to get it working. it's not a very user-friendly product yet. Anyhow, I guess that's another thing that could be used also in language learning. There's people who are using Glass now are called Glass Explorers, and I think Google has sort of backed off on Glass because it's really not meeting up to its potential. It's really, you mentioned that Oculus Rift cost about $300. I guess anybody can buy one.
Yeah, no, I mean $300 not too bad. A Glass costs $1,200.
Yeah, that's right. And also, the reason I got Glass was that you had to be in a certain spatial relationship with your universe in order to get it. You have to be in a country where you have a I like that. Something that's popped. I heard is the geek factor that turned people on. That's the text chat. I turned off my text chat, and that's what's happened. Is there's a bubble just came over your head, and so
over my head. Okay.
Yeah, that surprised me, but I know why. It's because I got the text chat turned on. But anyway, yeah. So you have to be in the United States. You have to have a U.S. mailing address, and you have to have a credit card that works in the United States. And with those two, only with those two things can you buy Glass. So there I was. Oh, this is my chance. You know, so what the heck? I just went and got one. But then I found out, having brought it back here, that it needs to hook up with your cell phone. So in the States, when I was there, I didn't have a cell phone that worked in the States, and I didn't have a data plan. It's kind of hard to get into one of those in the States. So brought it back to the UAE, and went to the App Store, tried to download the Android app for Glass, and I'm told, nope, sorry, you can't have this app in your country. So I was thinking, well, darn, I'll be in Philadelphia in a couple of weeks. Maybe I'll be there. I'll bring my Glass. I'll get the app, you know. But then and I was playing with it because Dave was having his talk today, so I started playing with it a little bit more. And I found out that I discovered when I put my VPN on, you can go to the App Store in a browser, and you can download apps that will synchronize to your device. But I had to have my virtual personal network on, and I happen to be in Dallas at the moment as far as this computer is concerned. So anyway, that's what I got the app, and now I've actually managed today to get my phone paired with the app, but it wouldn't synchronize properly. So I'm upgrading the firmware, and to upgrade the firmware, you have to leave it plugged in and connected to the internet for 3 hours. So anyway, that's the stage I'm at now. And so yes, I suppose at some point I'll do something on Glass once I get it working. You know, if I can. That's been a slow process. Had to get had to upgrade to an Android phone. My iPad wasn't really working very well. My iPad, sorry, iPhone. I had an iPhone, and was kind of getting battered around by Apple. Getting frustrated, just trying to hook that up. I guess Apple and Google don't really like each other all that much. They sort of make it difficult to use each other's products. I'm sure that people can have this problem, but I did. But anyway, so slow. It's been slow. But anyway, this has got me at least to get it paired up to my Android device now. So who knows? Maybe I'll be able to use it more. I find it kind of difficult. You have to watch a lot of videos in order to learn to use it.
I'm excited that you've got it. You're the only person I know who has it. So really be excited to hear how you like it, what you use.
Yeah,
it
I wish
for.
it worked better.
But they've stopped selling them now, though, haven't they?
Yeah, they're still.
You can buy them on Amazon.
Yeah, but they did that with the flip cam. They definitely stopped selling it, and then someone took it over and sold it at twice the price.
Well, I think Glass copies.
Yeah,
yeah,
nice one.
One in one in the back room. Glass is being done, being emulated by other companies for half the price. So
Ah, well, that's the right
Oh,
way
really?
around.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's way overpriced.
Capitalism.
I don't
Yeah.
know why.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you very much. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I just want to say before we log off, Pam mentioned the article, and I just want to say that without Vance's help, that article would never have been written, I can assure you. And so I just wanted to thank him and all the other people who contributed, and thank Vance especially for all his editing and suggestions. Patience with me.
Very good.
I'm just putting it in the chat wing, the link to that article. Chat wing disconnected, now it's back on. Oh, well, there we go. There we go. It's there, and I'll put it, I'll have to get it from chat wing to paste it in here. I'm on two different computers. I always have my chat wing going on a computer that's not one connected to the Hangout. I keep that going on one computer that's got the VPN on it. The other one, anyway, the link to the article is there. And it'll all be in the show notes. This will all go into learning2gether.net blog. And it'll be up in a couple of days. So thanks, Dave, for coming on again and doing another talk. So, yeah, I'd like to hear from... Yeah.
Interesting to see how the YouTube works on the Google Hangout.
The recording.
It's good.
Yeah.
Oh, then we have to see what happens in the recording. Huh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Karen Price did a really neat thing for us. She does really innovative stuff with video, and she had a bunch of videos to show us. And they didn't come out in recording. So what I had to go through in the audio, I edited out the caps. So she actually talked about it, and of course we got the links to the videos. Anyhow,
I just tried to save playlist. It doesn't work.
Sorry, what doesn't work?
I just tried to save the playlist. I added one, and it wouldn't save it.
I've put everything we've done here. First
yes,
of all,
it's on the Google Doc.
It's in the Google Doc. If you got the Google Doc here, and all the Google Doc and playlist, all the videos are on the chat room. So I put everything that we've done here. I put in the chat room. Okay. Thanks for turning out.
Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for coming.
Bravo, bravo.
Okay.
And, Elizabeth, if you want to add me on Google Plus, it's just David Winet, I think.
Right, you are. Very good. Yes,
All
absolutely.
Right.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Okay, I made a yes, good shareable link. Here we go. Here's the link. I'm going to put it into this chat so that you guys can click on it if you want. This is the copy I made from David's document that for some reason he didn't. You can't figure out what he did with it, but he could share it with me, but not in such a way that I could share it with anybody else. He can't either. So anyway, I'll have to learn that technique. That's a good one. But anyhow, I just made a copy of it. I made a document, shared it. The link is there. Okay. Well, thanks again, David. Thanks, Vanessa, for coming by. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the chat.
Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa. Good to see you.
All right. Yep.
And thanks for your long. Yeah. Okay. All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.